In this video we will be doubling your Mage DPS. Yes, just like we did with Hunters and just like we did with Warlocks, in this video I will tell you how to literally double your Mage DPS as a casual mage once again. This video is for casual players who are interested in the result. Not in how I get you there, right? So I will give you a method of how to literally double your DPS. Did I say that enough? Okay, if this is your cup of tea, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about it. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Gyro, I'm your host here. Enough of a big kind of fat disclaimer and a big kind of introduction. You know what this video is about. We are going to do a very little casual fix your DPS type of video. So, baseline for this video is going to be Fire. Fire spec of mages is going to be the baseline, just like I did with Beastmaster Hunter for my Hunter DPS fix video that you can find on my channel. So as Fire, I am confident with Fire. I am not a Fire Mage, I'm not even a Mage main, but so with a Hunter I have to honestly say that I am a little more proficient, or at least I feel like I'm a little more proficient with this. However, the situation might change and change rapidly because I'm actually enjoying Mage now quite a lot. So the baseline is Fire spec. What does that mean? It means that mainly I enjoy and I played Fire up to this point. I have reanimated, kind of restored the previously deleted character, Mage, and started leveling him in Fire spec, queued for a few dungeons in Fire spec, and noticed a few problems with Fire spec. Well, one of the problems was that, not for the lack of trying, I was not really pumping. It seems like when you are soloing and when you have a few critical strikes, and I know that Fire spec is always crit dependent, very crit dependent spec. So, you know, when the crits are happening, when huge pyroblasts are hitting your target, boom, boom, when everything is on fire, it's cool, it's fun. I love it. I love Phoenix Flames as well. Phoenix Flames is a fantastic talent, guaranteed critical hit. Fire Blasts are guaranteed critical hits. The Dragon Breath talented can also be a guaranteed critical hit. All of those critical hits, it's beautiful, okay? And I do know that you will tell me, well, Gyro, Fire starts shining higher once you are at the top level and once you have crit-based gear. Of course, my friends, of course, but we're fixing our DPS right now as casuals who are not that fine-tuney about different stats and about different numbers. So that's that. Well, just like with Beastmaster Hunter, who was not pumping enough for me to be competitive and feel kind of like, yeah, baby, you're in my world, it's my world and you're just visiting, yeah, type of in the dungeons as a DPS. I'm exaggerating a little bit. I decided to experiment with other specs, so I switched to Frost. And Frost is going to be our solution to this DPS problem. So as Fire, if you watch the video in the background here kind of playing so far as a kind of a quick demonstration of the Fire baseline, of how at least I play it, I was able to, well, generally in the leveling range, obviously, it's not the high level range. In the leveling range, I was kind of point number 2, point number 3 on DPS meters, and my damage was around the ballpark of 1200, 1500 maybe. In some peak moments, everything proccing, every cooldown used, I think I was able to pump on the boss something in the ballpark of 2500, maybe even pushing something like 3000. That was like the burst, massive burst, right? Well, this mage, average, very kind of lazy, I would say almost a lazy play, is about 2500 DPS, and we're comparing apples to apples. So whatever that translates to in the higher levels of gear. But right now, that was immediate double of my DPS, and 3000, so say even we're a bit generous, let's be generous with Fire, and say with Fire on average I was doing 1500. With Mage on average I was doing 3000, 3500, because the peak DPS, I do not know if the footage in the background would capture Frost peak DPS, yeah, I was trying to, was somewhere on good groups when everything was critting, was somewhere in the ballpark of 8000, 10,000 even. Yep, but I am being modest here and I'm trying to, you know, not be called that it's a clickbait or whatever, or I'm lying to you. That's why I didn't say quadruple your DPS, I said only double your DPS. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Before I talk you through the talents and stuff like that, and how to play, really what my basic cheesy priority system is, I will do a very quick honorable mention to the Arcane spec. I am not a specialist in Arcane. I did play Arcane and I actually quite enjoyed it back in the day, and it was before Legion, I think. It was like ages ago when I last tried Arcane. So Arcane is known to be, if well played, a king of single target damage. Single target damage. Those arcane blasts, and discharge of the arcane missiles on single target, especially if you get the 1-1-1-1-1-2, 1-1-1-1-1-2, 1-1-1-1-1-2, or whatever it used to be back then. Whatever that sequence translates to right now for Arcane, still pumps. You can still pump massively as Arcane if all you're interested in is suddenly showing your face to the group from the bottom of the DPS meter on boss fights. On boss fights. Problem is that in Mythics Plus, at least in my lower keys, and in general questing, in general kind of play that I'm engaged in, and probably you will be engaged in if you are my audience, you will want something more than that. You will want very prominent AoE domination. You will want to play in LFR where AoE is a massive component of the fights, where single target, like exclusively single target, is not that often. You will cleave a lot, you will need to cleave a lot and stuff like that. Additionally to that, and that has a little less to do with DPS per se, but it's an added bonus. Why Frost? Why Frost? Because it is the best controller spec. It is the best controller spec, and if you don't have a tanking pet with you, and if you're not a tank class yourself, best you can do is slow down your enemies, freeze them in place, hop around while they are slowly trying to get to you. That is the best you can do, right? Because your crit chance and your haste, that haste would be necessary for Arcane, crit would be necessary for Fire to shine and you explode them before they reach you. Well, you don't have that, do you? So in these particular conditions, I hope I convinced you as to why you should take Frost very seriously. I did, I never regretted it. I don't even know if I will switch to other specs now that I discovered this. How to play, how to double your DPS, very simple. You definitely play like me, okay? Very simple. I'm only advertising my method. Take Ice Nova talent. It's an instant freeze in place and a massive damage boost. Boom, you straight away up there. Shima is a very good replacement for Blink. It's like 2 charges of Shima allow you to hop around very nicely. I like it just for the... It is not directly contributing to your DPS, but as one very smart person said to me ages ago when I was starting to play World of Warcraft and was in a guild, they said to me, dead DPS does 0 DPS. So don't be dead, be able to blink away. Incantus Flow is the easiest passive way to boost your damage without having to do Focus Magic actively or drop Rune of Power. Frozen Touch was just my pick, so that Frostbolt becomes a little bit more useful for me. I did not want to do extra button of Ibn Bolt, and I am not relying on Ice Lances. I am not relying on them at all in this build, at all. Frigid Winds is, you know, I like to slow down enemies. It's not a direct contribution to the DPS component, but it is a contribution to my soloing component. Comet Storm. I don't care if Elitist will tell you that it's not competitive at higher Mythic Plus keys. I don't know, you tell me. But Comet Storm works amazingly well as that very frequently available, huge AoE hit on your target. In dungeons, there is just not much stuff that's better than that. Finally, your single target damage and where you will keep up. You will competitively keep up with Arcane Mages. They will not dwarf you. They might beat you, but they will not dwarf you. It's Glacial Spike. Glacial Spike is fantastic. So your Ice Lance, you do not rely on Ice Lance anymore. And maybe I'm missing out on some DPS. You tell me, maybe Ice Lance should be still woven into this play. You tell me. But Ice Lance no longer launches icicles. However, instead, your Frostbolt or any other spells, frost generating spells, they are creating that huge glacial spike over your head. And it hits and crits very often as well. Boom! That is something that crits for 10,000k. Like, at this stage. I cannot imagine what would happen further. It's fantastic. General play is very simple. Well, Frostbolt is naturally your filler. You will use Flurry only when it procs, only when it highlights you will use Flurry. you will always prioritize using Glacial Spike whenever you have Glacial Spike. You pick the fattest mob that has the most life to live and you hit that mob. You will stop the enemies in place, you will hold them in place when you're about to throw AoE on them. You will hold them with different means, right? Well, Ice Nova is your best means of doing that. You can certainly rely on tactical positioning with Frost Nova to get people into place, stop them there. Once they're stopped, that's when you shoot Comet Storm. So first Ice Nova, then Comet Storm. If something else procs here, if Glacial Spike is ready, you throw Glacial Spike. If Flurry is ready, Flurry is free, instant cast, fun to watch, you do that. Frozen Orb, if the group is big enough. By my standards, unscientific, I'm not a simmer, I do not sim my DPS, I'm just telling you what works for me. For me, Frozen Orb I use on targets when there are 5 targets or something like that. I do not bother on 3 targets or less unless it's a serious fight and I could use just any little help. I do not use it otherwise. And Blizzard, yes, I use Blizzard whenever there is a group, also 5+ targets I would say, and I can see that they'll be there around for a little bit. Good example are those trash packs as a lead up to the first boss in the Halls of Atonement, for example. There are a lot of these little trash packs. Yeah, you know them really well, we all know them really well. That's what I do. Well, obviously passively I'm always trying to keep the ice barrier on myself. Having a little bit of a passive defense on myself is very, very good. Finally, I'll tell you that after doing some very, very little research, maybe not that broad tests yet, but research and choice was made. I am quite openly gonna tell you that I'm Venthyr and I'm using Mirrors of Torment. Mirrors of Torment is not a multi-target, not an AoE damaging spell or ability, but it is very, very, very disabling for any single targets, for especially casters. It probably would be absolutely fantastic in PvP, but I don't PvP. Have a read of what the Mirrors of Torment does. Mirrors of Torment is on a relatively low cooldown. You throw it on the boss, usually on the beefiest target, especially if it's a caster, and it mitigates their spells for a bit, and it, you know, punishes them for casting those spells, does quite a bit of damage. It's not a bad ability. I simply could not find, looking at other covenants, I simply could not find anything that would have been anywhere remotely competitive and looked anywhere as appealing as this Venthyr alternative. Plus Door of Shadows, we know how wonderful Door of Shadows is. It's just, you know, it can't be, we can't sort of give, not give the credit where credit is due here with that kind of stuff. And that, my friends, is a little rushed, I suppose, but what's the point of ranting on and on and on about it? I think I gave all disclaimers that I needed to, and I think that this method of switching to stopping your experiments with fire until you're much better, until you have much better gear, and investing into this all-rounded controller spec that's good with single target, that's good with AoE, as opposed to the specialist Arcane who is mostly good with single target. Let me know if it does, let me know if it did, let me know if you were Frost Mage but didn't use these talents, and let's say that these talents actually changed your gameplay and you saw how I play. And I play always very simply, I don't pretend to be an expert ever. And I'm just, you know, this works for me, or it might work for my friends. That's my only attitude that I have here on this channel. If you like, if you share this attitude, if you found some of this insightful and some of this entertaining or helpful, please like the video, don't skip on that. YouTube needs to know what you like, as opposed to just watch. And subscribe to the channel if you want more of these kind of casual, unpretentious videos. That's exactly what we produce here, twice a week. I'll see you soon. Talk to you about some other class, about Torghast, about other things. I have lots to do. Obviously this mage is about to ding 60, and we will be also trying some of the top-end content, LFR, other kind of stuff, and I will talk to you very, very soon about all of that. Speak soon. See you later. Bye.